All right, if the Senate will come to order, please. The Senate will come to order. The governor is making his way over. So if, oh, the floor leader. The floor leader, would you, I mean, don't you have a duty to do or something? Huh? You, my friend. All right. Yeah, if Senate will come to order. We've got the, if everybody get in their seats and, all right, Senate will come to order. Recognize the senator from the 42nd.
Mr. President, a point of order.
State your order.
Mr. President, would it be appropriate, you can't turn it off, Bo, would it be appropriate to have the the universe, solar system's longest serving floor leader escort the governor down one last time here tonight?
I think so. I think that's right. I think that's an appropriate move there, Senator. Listen up, everyone. Listen up.
Georgia waits entrance into the chamber.
Well, please allow the governor in. We'd love to see him. Hey, hey, hey. It is a pleasure to have the governor here tonight, and this will represent his last time here in the chamber addressing us as the governor of the state of Georgia. This is where it all began for him, though, way back in the early 2001, I believe, 2002. As a state senator, he was the state senator from the 46th district here, and we always knew he got his training from right here in this chamber here. So, but he has had a fantastic career as our 83rd governor. I think without hesitation, I think anybody would tell you the first 4 years of his governorship were probably some of the most troublesome years as far as with COVID and everything else, and he brought his leadership, his calm demeanor brought us through those tough times as individuals and businesses, and he has had huge economic successes, huge job growth opportunities here in the state, and he is truly going to leave the state of Georgia in a better place than where he found it. And I think that's what all of us strive to do as elected officials. So, Governor, well done, job well done. We appreciate you being here, you and your family, the First Lady and his daughters over there. Appreciate all the leadership and everything that you've had to go through as a family, because I know it's a lot. But we appreciate the governor for his involvement with both chambers, the House and the Senate. And without further ado, I'd just like to introduce you to the 83rd governor of the state of Georgia, Brian Kemp.
Well, Lieutenant Governor Jones, thank you so much. Thank y'all very much. Honored to be with you. Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all. Y'all are very kind. Thank you. I just wanted to let you know your friends in the House said to tell you hello. Lieutenant Governor Jones, President Pro Tem Walker, Majority Leader Anna Vittardi, Minority Leader Jones, and members of the Senate. As in past years, tonight I'm proud to be joined by the nation's greatest First Lady, Marty Kemp. We are proud to be here with the Lieutenant Governor and the First Lady of the Senate. Certainly want to thank them for their service over the years. We're also thankful to have our daughters, Lucy, Amy Porter, Jarrett, and Jarrett's husband, Brooks, with us this evening. We came into this office as a family. We serve the people of this state as a family. And when we leave office next year, we will do that as a family as well. I told your counterparts across the way I could not have asked for a better team and support than these four wonderful ladies that have truly blessed my life. Our time in these elected positions comes and goes, but our family does not. That's something we should all remind ourselves of, especially in an election year when truly important things can get so easily lost or ignored. Lieutenant Governor Jones, I just want to thank you and your team for your engagement over the last 4 years on so many issues of importance, both to us and the people of this state. Thank you. On many occasions, along with Speaker John Burns, we have worked to address Georgia's challenges and opportunities. I want you to know, all of you, that we have appreciated that partnership. As the Lieutenant Governor mentioned, this is where I started my political career, and it is where I'll end my last legislative session as your governor. The first time I sat back in that seat back there in District 46, until now, some 23 years later, 4 different lieutenant governors have presided over the state Senate. More members than I can remember have come and gone from this chamber. And as our state has grown and developed both in population and in economic success, beyond what you could have imagined back in 2003. But in all that time and across all that change, one thing has remained constant in this chamber. It is the service of someone who has given over 3 decades under this gold dome to his fellow Georgians. Someone that Marty and I are fortunate to call a friend, Senator Ed Harbison. I was honored to serve alongside him when I first came into this chamber, and he is now the only one from that class of legislators still serving in the Senate. Ed, you have been a great leader. You've also been a tireless advocate for Georgia's military and our veteran population. Your record, both in the armed forces and in this legislative body, is one that will be remembered and valued for years to come. And Marty and I wish you the best as you prepare to leave the General Assembly. God bless you. It has been an honor to serve with all of you as we have truly worked through unprecedented challenges, especially during the pandemic. We've kept our state a place where its people and its businesses know that they are safe. We've created historic economic developments for our communities, passed legislation to make Georgia a safe haven for the victims of human trafficking and a hostile place for traffickers, and so much more. Thank you for that partnership throughout the years. I also want to thank a lot of people who have supported you and me during these legislative sessions, but who don't always get the attention or the applause that they deserve. I'm referring to the Secretary of the Senate, James Tripp, and his great team, the Senate General Counsel and the Legislative Council team, the staff at the Office of Policy and Legislative Analysis, the Senate Press Office, the news media, wait, never mind, disregard that last one. The committee staff workers, legislative aides, administrative assistants, interns, pages, and of course, your ever vigilant doorkeepers. Please know that Marty and I see all that you do, and we appreciate your service. You are just as much a part of what we have achieved under this gold dome as any elected official is, including me. So thank you again for your hard work and dedication. As this final session during my time in office draws to a close, I hope I'm not jinxing myself by saying that, I want to thank you for your contributions and hard work. It has been an honor for Marty, the girls, and me to serve our fellow Georgians these last 7 years or so, and I know you share in that honor with us. In the hours ahead and in future sessions for those that are returning to this chamber, I hope you'll continue to put hard-working Georgians first, because as I've said to this body before, while recalling the words of Nehemiah, we must finish the great work that we started. Good luck the rest of the night. God bless you all, and keep chopping. It's been an honor. Thank you very much.
Recognize the senator from the 10th. Well, we're taking points of personal privilege right now because they're waiting on something real quick, but
Thank you, Mr. President, member of this body. Thank you for this privilege that's been afforded to me. But I cannot leave this chamber tonight without recognizing someone who has been instrumental to not just my career, but has also been instrumental to me growing in this body and in this chamber. It's not that it is very, very rare to have someone who actually sees something in you to say, Emmanuel, I think you'd be a great person and a great fit for the legislative body. So at this time, I want to recognize the person who brought me into this chamber, the person who saw something in me well over 20-some-odd years ago, and that person is none other than Samuel Tillman. So Sam has worked in this building a lot longer than I have, but I just want to say to you, Sam, and we do have a resolution that's been prepared for you. I won't take the time to read it, but I am going to present it to you. But please know how much I appreciate the 22 years that you spent with me and the other 5 that you spent recruiting me to run for this office. And we have a small token of our appreciation that I would like to present to you, because I would say to you, I would not be here had it not been for Sam taking an interest in me so many, many years ago. Sam, thank you for being my friend, and thank you for continuing to be and to hang in here with me. I love you just like a father and as a brother. Thank you, my friend.
Would anybody else like to take a point of personal privilege while we're waiting on the couple of things? Is this your farewell? All right, come on, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. President. No time limit, unfortunately, except for the 24th. I want to thank everybody for 8 of the strangest but most fulfilling years of my life. I came in the election of 2018, the so-called blue wave in the House, with a number of my colleagues in here. There's a couple things I knew how to do in 2018, and that was tweet and yell, and I did a lot of both, including from the House floor. Now, the House floor, if any of you have not spent too much time there, is very big. It's kind of almost like a gladiator arena. And I remember after 4 years of giving speeches in the House, I came over here, and former Senator John F. Kennedy, who used to sit over here as pro tem, he came up to me after my first speech in the Senate, and he said, "Now, Josh, I don't know what exactly you were trying to accomplish with that speech, but that's not going to work in here," right? And And I thought he was being partisan at first, but he actually said, no, I'm trying to help you. This is a smaller, it's a more intimate environment. You can get your point across through friendship. You don't have to be as bombastic. And the thing I've learned, to keep it short and just sum it up, because there's a lot you can learn from this building, is a lot of times people think that arguing or making a principled, opposition to something is going to cost you a friendship. Well, I can't oppose that bill or I can't vote against my friend because they're going to get mad. And I learned this over the years because a lot of people will tell you straight up, if you tell somebody the punch is coming, you can punch. But also if you punch or if you argue with kindness and with concern about the humanity and the well-being of your opponent, that you can quote unquote get away with that as well. And so this is what I'd like to see. And here's my vain aspiration for the future of democracy, if you're ready for that. I think both in DC and to some extent right now, we have a political environment where people are afraid to make principled arguments, but there's a lot of rancor and distrust and unkindness. But we can actually do better on both fronts. We can have principled arguments where we really bring conviction and passion to what we're doing, but we can also do it in a way that preserves and protects kindness and friendships and relationships. Because at the end of the day, I think the relationships we have in a bipartisan sense reflect the aspiration we have for the state of Georgia, which is that we don't want to have to skip Thanksgiving because it's too painful to talk to our own family about politics or anything else. So I'm grateful to you all that this chamber, for the most part, has been a model for how to talk to one another with kindness, with respect, but with principle. And we're not afraid to disagree, because it's harder to hold your friends accountable than it is somebody that you've written off. I have not written you off. I consider you all friends. I'm grateful for the opportunities you've given me to work with you. And who knows, maybe you'll see me next year, maybe you won't. But in any event, I'll always miss being in the trenches, hitting the button, being annoying on the microphone. I will always miss that and doing it with you all. So thank you for some of the 8 of the most interesting and best years of my life.
All right. Hey, hey. Got time for one more. If anybody else wants to take a point of personal privilege, got time for another one. Recognize the senator from the 44th.
Thank you. Good evening, colleagues. It is so bittersweet to give a farewell speech. So I want to start by answering a question that I know is burning on many of your minds, which is, how on earth did Senator Parent turn out the way she did? And in all seriousness, I do want to talk a little bit about my parents and my upbringing. I certainly don't think that I would have ever entered public service without the 2 people who raised me being who they are. 2 left of center parents with graduate degrees and a deep commitment to their faith in Alexandria, Virginia, right outside the nation's capital, is how I grew up. We were Catholic. We never missed Mass, no matter if we were traveling, or when I was a teenager, I would go to the 5 p.m. Saturday, get it out of the way so I didn't have to get up early. But very committed to our Catholic faith. And the strain of, or section, I don't want to make it sound weird, of Catholicism of the church that I grew up within is a tradition that has always emphasized serving the least of these, as in Matthew 25:40. Devotion to the poor, immigrants, and those in need of grace. My father, Neil, spent 6 years in the seminary before deciding not to become ordained, which was a obviously huge stroke of luck for me and my sisters. And he went on to work for Catholic organizations for his entire career. So the faith I was raised in was very focused on serving others and on a moral obligation to prioritize the most vulnerable. My dad often said to us, don't filter life through what's in it for me. Always think of others. And so that was my childhood foundation. And I think that's what I took with me to adulthood. And that's why I wanted to be involved in public service. And there are, of course, many different ways. And I know we all have different views on the best way to accomplish helping those that I just listed. But for me, being involved in public service was a way that I could fulfill my desires to make a difference for folks who really need a hand up. Honestly, that's why I've voted no on all of our income tax cuts that have come through while I've been here. I worry about the widening wealth gaps that our country currently has. And I do believe that for those to whom much has been given, much is and should be expected. So life will never be equal, and I don't think that needs to be our goal. It's not realistic. But I do believe that government is essential to giving everyone a fair shot. I want every Georgian to have a fighting shot to reach his or her full potential. And that belief has guided the work I've tried to do in this chamber. It's one of the reasons I've cared a lot about our schools, our public schools. I've tried to, with some of the issues that I tried to advance, work on strengthening dual enrollment and expanding access to child care and early childhood education, driven by my belief that those are areas, things within our control, that really are a place to make a huge difference in allowing someone to get a leg up in life, no matter where they're born or to whom. So, like all of us, I came here to try to solve problems. And I know we don't always agree on the way to do it, but that's okay. One thing I have grown more concerned about over the years I've served, and it's been 14 total years over a period of 16 years, is that I see our system disintegrating in how well it reflects the priorities of everyday voters. It is worse than when I first got elected. And by everyday voters, I'm talking about people who are working hard and raising a family and don't have time to come advocate on the ropes and don't have time to read the newspaper, and they don't spend all day on social media. They are just living their lives. Our system now, with the way the media is fragmented, social media in particular, and the way this building is set up and the way the incentives for all of us are set up, is real great at making sure that people in the halls have a voice, real great at making sure that loud, but sometimes quite extreme, activist groups have a voice, that big donors have a voice. But it's not so great at making sure that I say it all the time to y'all, I'm like a broken record, that sort of broad 60 to 70% of voters that are in the middle of the ideological spectrum, it's not doing a very good job anymore at making sure that those priorities are centered. Look, we've had money in politics for a long time, we've had gerrymandered districts for a long time, and partisanship. But those forces, to me, are amplified more than I've seen before through this media environment and through social media. It rewards the most extreme voices, and let's face it, we haven't yet, most of us, these are part-time jobs, we have a whole lot coming at us. I don't think most of us have really grappled with the fact that in order to do our jobs well, you just are going to have more conflict with your own people and ride out mobs that attack you online. It's the path of least resistance is just doing the go along, get along. And listen, I count myself in that. It's hard. But I think in order for our system to survive in this age, we all have to grapple with having more courage to go against the people sometimes that are in the halls, the activists in our districts, and be ready to take criticism from online mobs that are not representative of the voters. So life is short, and I have loved almost every minute of my service. Representing the hopes and futures of 200,000 people has been deeply meaningful and a deep honor. There is more that I would probably like to do for Georgians, so who knows, maybe somewhere down the road there will be some office or campaign that gets my blood going. But for now, I am very excited for a new chapter, a new challenge, and also to be a better mom to my children. I want to thank just a couple people. There's no way with the amount of time I have to thank everyone who deserves it. But my parents, whose unconditional love allowed me to have the abilities to seize what life's opportunities brought me. The senator from the 22nd, thank you for the partnership we have had. There is no one that I would rather have been on this 12-year journey with than you. I am so proud of the work that we have done to build our caucus. I only had 2 assistants in 12 years, Stephanie Tanner and Paige Terhune. And if I ever looked like I had it together, it was because of them. And then to all my staff over the years, thank you for your hard work, your wisdom, your friendship, and for working for a lot less pay than you deserved. And most importantly, thank you to my husband, Briley, our boys, Brooks and Reed. Public service asks a lot of families, and my husband has been a reluctant participant in all my time away. But I never could have done it without his support. And to all of you, you know, we have our disagreements, but I have true affection for every single one of you. I do like to think of us as a family, a very dysfunctional family, but a family nonetheless. Politics is and always will be foremost about relationships, and all of you have left a mark on me. I didn't grow up in Georgia, but I need to say thank you to Georgia and to this body. Georgia is the state that has given me the opportunities of my adult life. We live in a remarkable state that has been a leader throughout history in so many different ways. While I may always in some ways be a Virginian at heart, it is here in Georgia that I found my home. Thank you for your friendship and your support over all these years. I'll miss y'all.
Senator from the 29th. Senator from the 29th, we're going to start with you.
Mr. President, I move the Senate agree to the House substitute of SB 501 as amended by Amendment Number 1.
Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 501 by Senators Robertson of the 29th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Titles 8 and 25 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to buildings and housing and fire protection and safety respectively so as to improve government efficiency by updating provisions to the Office of the Safety Fire Commissioner to provide for an effective date, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 501, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Titles 8 and 25 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to buildings and housing and fire protection and safety respectively so as to improve government efficiency by updating provisions of the Office of the Safety Fire Commissioner and for other purposes. Mr. President, Senator Robertson of the 29th District offers the following amendment. Amendment 1, amend the House substitute to Senate Bill 501 by deleting lines 14 through 18, by deleting lines 249 through 503. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Is there objection? Hearing none, recognize Senator from the 29th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, SB 501 is a department bill. I want to say that again. It's a department bill. It was brought to me by Commissioner John King. We went through the bill section by section. And after doing that, I agreed to carry the bill. What he and his office does is extremely important. And so when a House bill is amended, when language is added on that makes the commissioner uncomfortable, I feel only obligated to take the bill back to where it was originally agreed to. And so today, after the bill came over from the House, the commissioner came over and asked if I would remove the amendment that was made on the other side. The amendment on the other side adds more work to the insurance commissioner, which is not budgeted, and adds several other issues related to fireworks here in Georgia. So I respectfully ask that you agree to amendment number 1, and that you vote for the legislation. What it does is it clarifies the responsibility when it comes to the Department of Insurance, when it comes to inspecting property for safety, when it comes to putting in an appeal process for those who may be denied building permits at certain levels. It puts in a due process system so that the commissioner and his staff can be involved. It's very pro small business because of that fact, and I would appreciate your full support. And with that, Mr. President, I'll yield for any questions.
You have no questions, Senator.
I yield the well.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Senator from 29 has moved that the Senate agree to House substitute on SB 501 as amended by Amendment 1. Is there objection? All those in favor will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the motion to agree to the House substitute as amended, yeas are 51, the nays are 0, and this motion has prevailed. Recognize the senator from the 33rd.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate agree to the House amendment to the Senate substitute of HB 858.
All right. Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 858 by Representatives Cummings of the 39th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating the State Court of Cobb County, approved March 26, 1964, as amended so as to change the compensation number of certain staff of the Solicitor General to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate offers the following substitute to House Bill 858, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating the State Court of Cobb County, approved March 26, 1964, as amended, particularly by an act approved May 3, 2017, so as to provide for additional assistant solicitor positions, to change the salaries of certain staff of the Solicitor General, to provide for an effective date, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws and for other purposes. Mr. President, the House offers the following amendment. Amend the Senate substitute to House Bill 858 by inserting after county on line 21 the following, and approved by the governing authority of Cobb County, by inserting after supervisors on line 24 the following. The Solicitor General shall prescribe the duties and assignments of such assistant solicitors, and, while so employed, such assistant solicitors shall not engage in the private practice of law. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Recognize the senator from the 33rd.
Thank you, Mr. President, fellow senators, colleagues, friends, and y'all. This is just a minor adjustment to a local consent bill, whereas the assistant solicitors, while employed, shall not engage in private practice of the law. Thank you for your time. Mr. President, I yield the well.
Recognize the senator from the 21st.
Mr. President, I'd like unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 23rd, please.
Without objection, the senator from the 23rd is excused. Any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Hearing none, the senator from the 33rd has moved that the Senate agree to the House amendment to the Senate substitute on HB 858. All those in favor vote yea, all opposed nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the motion to agree, the yeas are 50 and the nays are 0, and this motion has prevailed. Recognize the senator from the 29th.
Mr. President, I move the Senate agree to the House substitute of SB 306.
Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 306 by Senator Robertson of the 29th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 48-5-7.4 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to preferential assessment for bona fide conservation use property and bona fide residential transitional property so as to require notices of impending expiration to be sent via certified mail, to provide for the reinstatement of certain covenants and preferential assessments in certain limited circumstances, to provide for appeals and refunds, to prohibit additional fees or interest, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 306, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 5 of Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions regarding ad valorem taxation of property so as to revise the definition of bona fide conservation use property to include carbon sequestration, to require certified notices of impending expiration, to provide for the reinstatement of certain covenants and preferential assessments in certain limited circumstances, to provide for appeals and refunds, to prohibit additional fees or interest, to permit the combination of multiple covenants of a single owner into a single new 10-year covenant, to provide for exceptions, to provide for the change of forest land use assessment property to current use assessment property after a transfer of ownership, and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Recognize the senator from the 29th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, some of this will be familiar to you on SB 306. This is the bill that originally we passed out dealing with language on CUVA. Regarding options for notification of taxpayers on expiring CUVA covenants. It allows the taxpayer to request notification by certified mail or email in addition to the standard notification via first-class mail. It gives two new notification options for expiring covenants to the taxpayer and the county assessor's office. It's a good thing. These CUVAs were expiring without the individuals knowing. There's also language in the bill that also deals around current CUVA language, and the primary purpose is described in the bill, which includes land conservation and ecological forest management, in which commercial production of wood and wood fiber products may be undertaken primarily for conservation and restoration purposes. The FLPA statute baseline qualifying language and the CUVA statute baseline qualifying language mirror each other, but the FLPA language specifies carbon sequestration as a qualifying use, which is much similar to a hunting lease when you allow a particular number of your trees to be done. And finally, the last part of the bill cleans up some of the language that passed out of a House bill on March 18th related to tax credits, so that it appears that the wording in the House bill that passed out on March 18th need to be cleaned up because it put existing projects in jeopardy under affordable housing. So with that, Mr. President, I ask for full support of SB 306, and I yield the well.
Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Hearing none. The senator has moved that the Senate agree to the House substitute on SB 306. All those in favor will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the agree to House substitute on SB 306, the yeas are 52, the nays are 0, and this motion has prevailed. Recognize well, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, the longest serving floor leader right here. Senator from the 50th.
I appreciate the recognition, Mr. President. I move that the Senate agree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 8 as amended by Amendment 1.
Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 8 by Senators Kirkpatrick of the 32nd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 15 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to courts so as to provide for arrest warrants requirements when juvenile courts are acting as courts of an inquiry, to amend Title 17 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to criminal procedures so as to make conforming changes, to provide related matters, to repeal conflicting laws and for other purposes. Mr. President, the House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 8, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 2 of Chapter 6 of Title 15 and Article 1 of Chapter 17 of Title 45 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to clerks of superior courts and general provisions regarding notaries public, respectively, so as to provide for remote online notaries public and remote online notarizations, to revise and provide for definitions, to revise the powers of the Georgia Superior Courts Clerk Cooperative Authority, to provide for requirements for remote online notaries public and remote online notarization, to provide that the Georgia Superior Court Clerks Cooperative Authority may adopt certain standards for remote online notarization and for other purposes. Mr. President, Senator Strickland of the 42nd District offers the following amendment to amend Senate Bill 8, Amendment 1, by adding transferring any interest in real property between any and with on line 450. Mr. President, Senator Cowsert of the 46th District and others offers the following amendment to amend Senate Bill 8, Amendment 1A, by inserting on line 5, strike 2027 on line 189 and replace with 2028. Strike line 595 and replace with on January 1st, 2028. Mr. President, Senator Cowsert of the 46th District and others offers the following amendment to amend Senate Bill 8, Amendment 1B, by inserting at the end of Amendment 1, strike 2027 on line 189 and replace with 2028, and striking upon on line 554 and 595 in its entirety and replacing with on January 1st, 2028. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Recognize the Senator from the 50th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate Bill 8 deals with remote online notary. Thanks to our friend from the 19th, it's a topic that we're all familiar with. What it does, it just allows Georgia to use remote online notary like a majority of the states. I think Georgia is one of 4 states right now that doesn't allow it. This would allow us to use it. However, I'm asking that we support Amendment 1. Amendment 1 would remove real estate. You remember the doll? This is the senator from the 19th, Ron. Would remove real estate transactions. So you would still be able to use remote online notary for most things. However, when you're dealing with real estate transactions, closing on a home, or transferring deeds, you would not be able to use remote online notary for that. But this would allow us to come in line with other states, but like I said, would not apply to real estate transactions. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you. I yield the well.
I recognize the senator from the 42nd to speak to his amendment. You waive. Senator from the 46th, would you like to speak to your amendment? You waive too. So, Senator from the 46th, the question is on 1A. Recognize Senator from 46.
Thank you, Mr. President. many years as I've been here, I always say I learn something new every day, and I have made a typographical error there on 1A. I will withdraw it at this time. I've replaced it with Amendment 1B.
All right, Senator, that objection is withdrawn 1A. So now we are in the posture of adopting Amendment number 1, Amendment number 1B, authored by the Senator from 46. Is there objection? That objection 1B is adopted. Now on to Amendment number 1. Move that the Senator from the 50th has moved that the Senate agree to the House substitute on SB 8 as amended by Amendment number 1. All those in favor will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the motion to agree on SB 8, the yeas are 26 and the nays are 26, and this motion has failed. Recognize the Senator from the 6th.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate agree to the House amendment to the Senate substitute to HB 445.
Secretary, read the caption.
House Bill 445 by Representative Martin of the 49th, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 5 of Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to ad valorem taxation of property so as to revive the language required to be included in the notices of current assessment, to add hearing officer review for tax assessment of certain business personal property, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the Senate offers the following substitute to House Bill 445, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating revenue and taxation so as to add hearing officer review for tax reassessment of certain business personal property, to revise a definition, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, the House offers the following amendment. Amend HB 445 by replacing lines 15 and 16 with the following. Property is less than $5,000. All gas, electric light, electric power, private water systems, and sewage systems with at least 10,000 connections for services, hydroelectric power, steam, heat, refrigerated air, dockage. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Recognize the rules, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, or Mr. President, whoever you are. Colleagues, HB 445, quick reminder, this simply adds a third option for the appeals process of our taxable personal property. We amended it and added public water and sewage systems to the definition of public utility, and Department of Revenue came in and asked for some cleanup language, which the House was more than happy to oblige on, and so they've cleaned that up. You've got that amendment on your desk, and it simply just adds language that says private water systems and sewage systems with at least 10,000 connections for service. I will yield for questions.
You have no questions?
I urge your favorable consideration for HB 445.
Masterful job, Senator. Masterful job. Does any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Hearing none. The senator has moved that the Senate agree to the House amendment to the Senate substitute on HB 445. All those in favor will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the motion to agree, yeas are 52, the nays are 0, and this motion has prevailed. Recognize the senator from the 48th.
Mr. President, I move the Senate agree to the House substitute to SB 469.
Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 469 by Senators Still of the 48th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating a Board of Commissioners of Forsyth County, approved June 30th, 1964, as amended so as to provide term limits for members of the Board of Commissioners, to provide for related matters, to provide effective dates, to repeal conflicting laws for other purposes. Mr. President, the House offers the following substitute to Senate Bill 469, a bill to be entitled an act to amend an act creating a Board of Commissioners of Forsyth County, approved June 30th, 1964, as amended so as to provide for term limits, to provide for referendum, effective dates, automatic repeal, mandatory execution of election, and judicial remedies regarding failure to comply, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Recognize the senator from the 48th.
Thank you, Mr. President and colleagues. This is a very simple bill. This is an agree for term limits for the Board of Commissioners in Forsyth County. For the folks back home, this has not been an easy journey. The senator from the 27th and I submitted verbatim this request, this resolution from the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners on February the 5th. We passed out of this chamber on the 24th of February. The House delegation waited a full month before taking action on it, passed it out on legislative day 37 with a completely different version than what this body passed. It's not that it's a bad bill. It's not that it's a bad substitute. It makes it a ballot measure. But when a Board of Commissioners says this is what we want, and this body passes what they want, it's important that we recognize that that is fulfilling the wishes of our local elected officials. But sometimes delegations split. And for those of you that have delegations where the House and the Senate members meet together, I applaud you, and you are blessed, because the senator from the 27th and I have had to operate in a world where the delegations don't meet, and we are kept separate from the decisions made by the House. There are a couple of members in the House delegation that do work with us, but sadly, they are no longer in charge of the daily events that happen over there. So I ask your favorable consideration, and for the folks back home, we got it done finally on day 40, but with only 3 legislative days to go from the time we got it. And it was only through the work of our amazing Lieutenant Governor that we're here right now. So thank you, Mr. President, and I ask your favorable consideration.
Any other senator wish to speak for or against the measure? Hearing none, the senator has moved that the Senate agree to the House substitute on SB 469. All those in favor will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary, unlock the machine. On the motion to agree, the yeas are 52 and the nays are 0, and this motion has prevailed. Recognize the senator from the 56.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate agree to the House substitute for Senate Bill 111.
Secretary, read the caption.
Senate Bill 111 by Senator Albers of the 56 and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 10 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to commerce and trade so as to enact the Georgia Consumer Privacy Protection Act to protect the privacy of consumer personal data in this state, to provide for definitions, to provide for applicability, to provide for exemptions, to provide for responsibilities of processors and controllers, to provide for notice and disclosure, to provide for security practices to protect consumer personal data, to allow a controller to offer different goods or services under certain conditions, to provide for limitations and for other purposes. Mr. President, Senator.
No.
Mr. President, Senator Albers of the 56th District. Oh. Mr. President, the House offers the following substitute, Senate Bill 111, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 31-8-9.1 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to tax credits for contributions to certain rural hospital organizations and hospital eligibility and requirements so as to revise the definition of a rural hospital organization to provide for related matters to repeal conflicting laws and for other purposes. Mr. President, Senator Albers. No.
Recognize the senator from the 56.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is not the original bill. This is a help out an important rural hospital down in Irwin County that didn't exactly meet the criteria needed for them to participate in the rural hospital tax credit. This is important for their area. They need it. I ask you to vote green. Thank you. I yield the well.
Senator has moved that they agree to Senate Bill 111. All those in favor will vote yea. All opposed. Come on, Senator. Recognize Senator from the 14th. All those in favor of a good rural Georgia health care bill will vote yea. All opposed, nay. Secretary will unlock the machine. On the agree to the House substitute, the yeas are 48 and the nays are 0. And SB 111, the motion to agree has prevailed. We're going to take a little bit of 5-minute break because Secretary needs to catch up with a few things, and he's got an incredible staff, but even sometimes we're way too demanding for him sometimes. So we're going to take about a 5-minute break.